Alright guys, I'm here, broadcasting live. Alright. Alright, so let's take a look at streaming, see if I can see my top chat, pop up my chat, so that I'm able to see everybody who makes comments. Alright. Alright. Alright, cool. So, let's take a look at chat. There's nobody in yet. Alright. Let's take a look at the hour loop. We're talking about Florence and the possibility of Florence reaching the East Coast and possibly making a landfall and possibly causing disasters for the East Coast. Alright, this is Florence, and as you see, she's gathered herself together again. She's getting stronger. Hopefully, this weakens and goes out to sea and nothing happens to anybody. But they are forecasting it to reach the East Coast. Alright, let's take a look at what's happening right now. Here you see Florence off the East Coast. It's off still in the middle of the Atlantic, but it is going to be joining with this rain squall right here that is a disturbance in the Atlantic. Alright, so it's disturbance 1. 10% chance of cyclone formation in 48 hours. A trough of low pressure is generating disorganized showers over the western Atlantic near Bermuda. Significant development of this system is unlikely due to increasing storm and upper level winds over the next few days while the trough moves little. Formation chance 48 hours is 10%, and formation chance through 5 days is low at 10%. What I am concerned with this disturbance 1 is not that it will turn into a hurricane, but that it will join Florence, Tropical Storm Florence, and make Florence an even stronger storm. Alright, so if this joins with Florence, it could give it more fuel to create it into a bigger hurricane. Okay, maximum sustained winds for tropical Florence is 60 knots or 70 miles per hour. Minimum center pressure is 989 millibars, located at 24.6 north or 54.7 west. Movement west at 4 knots or 5 miles per hour. Alright, so she is at 70 miles per hour, meaning that she is still in tropical storm stage. Once she reaches 74 miles an hour, then she will be a category 1 hurricane. And hopefully that does not happen, but she's still in tropical storm winds. Alright, Isaac is right behind Florence, and then right after Isaac is Helene coming right off the coast of Africa. So we have Isaac, a maximum sustained winds, 35 knots or 40 miles per hour, minimum center pressure of 1,005 millibars, located at 14.5 north, 36.6 west, movement west at 6 knots or 7 miles an hour. Alright, let's take a look at the chat. Still nobody in. Alright. Tropical Storm Isaac is, so it's a shot. First Florence, then Isaac, then Helene, and there's also the tropical disturbance 10% chance. So Isaac is forecasted to head more south, and Helene is forecasted to head more north. So is Florence gonna reach the East Coast and then some time passes and then get hit again by Helene? That is something that we have to keep an eye on, because we're gonna be having enough going on with what we're having right now. For you see here, in going from all the way from Mexico all the way up through Texas and the mid-states, and then going to the East Coast, the jet stream is just pouring rain. Look at all this moisture happening right now. Gordon, when it came through, had enough moisture for parts of the East Coast, but now the jet stream is just pouring in more moisture. So let's take a look at Telecast. You see all of this rain and hail and possibility of strong winds just going through most of the middle of the United States. So by the time that Florence reaches us on the East Coast, this whole area is going to be saturated and more than, enough rain on the ground for the East Coast. So this storm, Florence, hopefully does not get to reach a high category, but it is forecasted to reach up to category 4 before it reaches the coast. The whole East Coast has been warned that there's a possibility of a hurricane gonna land there, Florence, all the way from South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Virginia, Georgia, Florida, the whole East Coast is being warned. Also, South Carolina and North Carolina have declared a state of emergency. North and South Carolina declare state of emergency as Florence bears down. South Carolina followed North Carolina's footsteps in declaring a state of emergency Saturday as Tropical Storm Florence approaches the East Coast on its way to becoming a hurricane. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper declared a state of emergency Friday as the state prepares to make resources available if Florence morphs into a hurricane. He called on residents to make proper precautions. While it's still too early to know the storm's path, we know we have to be prepared. Cooper, a Democrat, said in a statement Friday during harvest time is of the essence. Action can avoid losses due to Florence. Florence is forecasted to be a dangerous major hurricane near the southeastern United States coast by late next week, and the risk of direct impact continues to increase. However, given the uncertainty in track and intensity forecasts and those time ranges, it is soon to be determined the exact timing, location, and magnitude of these impacts. Interests along the U.S. East Coast, particularly from North Florida through North Carolina, should closely monitor the progress of Florence, ensure that they have their hurricane plan in place, and follow any advice given by local officials. Large swells are affecting Bermuda and will begin to affect portions of the U.S. East Coast this weekend, resulting in life-threatening surf and rip currents. So, already Bermuda is being affected by surf from Florence, and who knows how large the waves are going to get by the time it gets to us. All right, we got to stay aware of the East Coast, Bermuda, and all the preparations should be already being done. We should already have water, canned food, candles. This is the time to be prepared before the storm gets closer to the East Coast. Alright, as storms churn in the Atlantic Ocean, officials say folks should be prepared. That's what I was just saying. Be prepared. Governor Roy Cooper is asking that everyone take this weekend to prepare for a natural disaster and create a plan for your family just in case. On Friday evening, Cooper declared a state of emergency ahead of what is now Tropical Storm Florence. He has waived all transportation rules to help farmers harvest and transport their crops. We're entering a peak of hurricane season, and we know well the unpredictability of the power of these storms. It's too early to tell what impacts Florence will have on North Carolina, but it is not too early to prepare for this storm. North Carolina is getting ready, and I urge families and businesses to do the same. September is National Preparedness Month. Alright, we should be prepared for a hurricane. The East Coast should be prepared. We don't know exactly where the storm is going to go. It could go anywhere along the coast. It could hit South Carolina. It could hit North Carolina. It could hit Virginia. It could hit the upper East Coast. It could hit Florida. We don't know exactly where it's going to do, but it is forecasted to affect North Carolina and South Carolina. Alright, so please be prepared. We need right now to know in the back of our minds, do we have water? Do we have canned foods? Do we have candles? Are our pets going to be, do we have the food for our pets? Do we have a place to put our pets if the storm comes? If we need to evacuate, what are we going to be doing? So it is time to make preparations, make plans, because this is heading for the East Coast. What can you do to be part of the solution and not part of the problem? If a hurricane strikes the coast, said American Red Cross Triangle Chapter Regional Director Barry Porter. Many communities were caught off guard nearly 2 years ago when Hurricane Matthew pushed deep inland and pounded the area with heavy rains. Streets were underwater, people were trapped in their homes, and there were countless boat rescues. More than 20 people were killed. People don't always participate the size of the scope of these storms. They are carrying large amounts of water. Okay, to avoid loss of life, please be prepared. Hurricanes are not a joke. Alright. The Red Cross is going through in its list of 850 volunteers to see who is available next week if needed. 85 trailers are already positioned along the coast. In addition, different warehouses will have cots, blankets, shelter equipment, and meals. The Red Cross is working to secure shelter locations. We're looking for resources and facilities where we stage where would we set up. All right. Please, if you live on the East Coast, know where your shelters are. Look up online your local shelters and if they will be open in case of a hurricane. All right. Hurricane safety checklist. The most important thing you can do as the hurricane season approaches is to get yourself and your family and your home prepared. By starting early, you'll avoid the rush of home supply stores, grocery stores, and other venues typically crowded and often chaotic where hurricane watches and warnings are issued. To let you guys know, I already went out and got water. I have canned food. I have candles. I am prepared. I have my whole pet and family. We know what to do and what is going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. So we got to be prepared. All right. You should stock 6 basics for your home: water, food, first aid supplies, clothing and bedding, tools and emergency supplies, special items. Keep the items that you would most likely need during an evacuation in an easy to carry container. Suggested items are marked with an asterisk. Possible containers include large covered trash container, camping backpack, or a duffel bag. Make sure your preparations are easier by downloading the checklist. Alright, I'm going to leave the link on the bottom of this stream. Alright, food and water. Download the food and water checklist. I'm actually going to comment myself and put this checklist in the comment section. Alright, so that you see it. Alright, there it is. Hurricane preparedness. The list of food and water. Alright. Store food and water in plastic containers such as soft drink bottles. Avoid using containers that will decompose or break, such as milk cartons or glass bottles. A normally active person needs to drink at least 2 quarts of water each day. Hot environments and intense physical activity can double that amount. Children, nursing mothers, and ill people will need more. Store 1 gallon of water per person per day. Keep at least 3-day supply of water per person, 2 quarts for drinking, 2 quarts for each person in your household and for food preparation and sanitation. Food. Store at least 3-day supplies of non-perishable foods. Select foods that require no refrigeration, preparation or cooking, and little or no water. If you must heat food, pack a can of Sterno. Select food items that are compact and lightweight. Include a selection of the following foods in your disaster supply kit: ready-to-eat canned meats, fruits and vegetables, canned juices, staples, sugar, pepper, spices, etc., high-energy foods, vitamins, food for infants, comfort, stress foods. First aid and non-prescription drugs. First aid kits. Assemble the first aid kit for your home and 1 for each car. Adhesive bandages, sterile dressing, gauze, triangular badges, sterile gauze pads, 1 roll of adhesive bandage, antiseptic wipes, 2 pairs of large medical gloves, adhesive tape, antibacterial ointment, cold pack, scissors, tweezers, CPR breathing barrier such as face shield, non-prescription drugs, aspirin, non-aspirin pain reliever, anti-diarrhea medication, and acid laxative active charcoal used in case of poisoning. Tools and supplies. Mess kit, paper cups, plates, and plastic utensils, emergency prepared manual, battery-operated radio and extra batteries, flashlight and extra batteries, cash or traveler's check change, non-electric car opener, utility knife, fire extinguisher, tube tent, pliers, tape, compass, matches in a waterproof container, aluminum foil, plastic storage container, signal flare, pencil and paper, needles, thread, medicine dropper, shut-off wrench to turn off household gas and water, whistle, plastic sheeting, map of an area for locating shelters, sanitation, clothing and bedding, toilet paper, soap, feminine supplies, personal hygiene items, plastic garbage bags, plastic bucket with tight lid, disinfectant, household chlorine bleach, clothing and bedding, sturdy shoes and work boots, rain gear, blankets and sleeping bags, hat and gloves, thermal underwear, sunglasses. Special items to have in your preparedness kit for the baby, in case of you don't know if you might need these, if you have a baby. Formula, diaper bottles, powdered milk, and medications for your child. For adults, heart and high blood pressure medication. If you have insulin, make sure that you have ice to keep the insulin cool. Prescription drugs, denture needs, contact lenses, supplies, extra eyeglasses. Entertainment, board games to keep your children and you entertained. For pets, to make sure to not leave your pets behind. Securely fasten current identification tag for your pet collar. Carry a photograph for your pet. Transport your pet in secure pet carriers. Call hotels in a safe host location and ask to bring your pets. Call friends and family members, uh, or boarding kennels to keep your pets safe in a location. Pack a week's supply of water and other provisions such as medications or cat litter. Do not wait until the last minutes to evacuate. Rescue officials may not allow to keep your pets if you need to be rescued. Make sure your possessions and documents are watertight and sealed. Alright, guys. These are the hurricane safety checklist items in case of a hurricane. Since the governor of South Carolina and North Carolina have declared a hurricane emergency, state of emergency for the states, make sure you guys, if you live in these states, to be prepared and have your items ready. Alright, let's take a look at Ventisky. This is Florence right now. She is sitting on 79, 80 degrees, 81 degrees of warm water. She is heading to the east coast, which is in 82 degrees of warm water. The closer it gets to the coast, the warmer it is. 84 degrees, 82, 84 degrees. So it could get stronger the closer it gets to the coastline. Alright. This is Florence right now, as she has traveled to the middle of the Atlantic. This is the Sahara sand, and she was wrapped in the Sahara sand, but she apparently is getting back together and getting stronger. Alright. Florence right now is at 70 miles per hour. If it does get to a category 4, which is predicted to be getting to, that's 130 to 156 mile an hour winds. That is very strong. That could rip the roof right off a house, topple trees, and do a lot of damage. Alright. We are being saturated with rain right now on the east coast, and that is going to affect us when the hurricane gets here. It's going to cause a lot of flooding. We have to be prepared and ready for when all this flooding happens. Alright guys, that's it. What I'm showing right now with the video. I'll see you guys next video that I make.